Welcome to the recommendation bar. How can I serve you today?
You know, Mr. Bartender, just had a really rough past few days. My wife's boyfriend ate my dinner, got into a car wreck. You know, it's just been really tough. I could really use something that could just, make me a little happy in these difficult times.
That certainly sounds like a bit of a pickle, but I think I've got just the thing for you. It's from a new producer. His name is Brandt. Kind of unrefined, but I think it's exactly what you need.
Thank you, Mr. Bartender. I'll take you up on your recommendation. I appreciate it. At some point in every anime fan's life, they'll want to stop watching all the badass shonen, the great fight scenes, the great animation, and maybe just want to watch something a little more cozy that makes them happy and makes them realize that, maybe one day they'll find some love. But anyways, today I'm gonna be giving you some recommendations that'll actually, maybe bring you some slight moments of joy that you can watch and finally be happy. Now, this is not a ranking of any sorts. This is actually just gonna be 10 of my romance anime recommendations. So don't take this as a list. These are what I've seen and what I personally recommend for someone that might just be getting into romance or wants something cute and fluffy to watch that would make them, feel a little happy. So let's go ahead and get right into it. My first recommendation, I'm going to be giving 10 recommendations, so this is a lot, but my first recommendation is going to be Quintessential Quintuplets. And I know the ending of this series may have made a lot of people unhappy, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to recommend it. This series follows our guy who's named Futaro, and he's basically a super intelligent guy. He knows his stuff, super smart, and he becomes the tutor for 5 girls who are actually all sisters and actually of the same age. You've got Yotsuba, the sporty one, Itsuki, the one that wants to follow in her mom's footsteps, Ichika, an aspiring actor, Nino, the tsundere, and Miku, the one that everybody loves. This one is very cute, very fluffy. It'll make you happy. Just make sure not to get too pressed when the final episode rolls around. And it's just a very easy watch. And I feel like it's a good introduction because it's easy to follow. There's not much drama. You're really gonna like it. Following on from Quintessential Quintuplets, I'm going to recommend Kimi ni Todoke, or From Me to You. This one is actually probably one of the most fresh romance series and one of the most simple, I would have to say. It follows Sawako, not Sadako, but she's basically an antisocial girl who's kind of scared, and a lot of people judge her based on her appearance and her name. And then, the golden retriever boy who everybody loves. This one, it's very simple, very cute, very, very easy to watch. I actually binged this series in about a day. It's only 24 episodes, so I feel like you're gonna have a good time with this one. Next on my list is actually a movie, and it released back in 2016. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. It is called Your Name. And it follows our guy Taki and Mitsuha, who mysteriously just start swapping bodies one day, and we're not really sure why, but this one is a very good watch. There's a lot of drama and a lot of stakes, and I feel like that's a really good setup for a great romance. And that final scene really just had me kind of on the edge of my seat and looking back and wondering where I went wrong in life. Anyways, Your Name, Makoto Shinkai, I feel like he never misses, but there might be a few misses along his filmography. But overall, fantastic movie, great watch. Oregairu, or My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong as I Expected, is next on the list, and I feel like this one is one of the hardest hitting series that I'm gonna recommend, just because of the types of situations that our main characters are put into. So it follows our main character Hachiman, who is really pessimistic and just doesn't really see much in his future. And it follows two girls, Yuigahama and Yukinoshita, who pretty much join a club, and they don't really help out our guy, but our guy is forced to join the club. He has to fix a bunch of situations that go on around the school. And this leads to some really good character interactions and great romantic relationship building between these characters. So highly recommend this one. So Toradora was actually my first romance anime, and it kind of sent me down on this spiral, I'm not gonna lie. But it follows Ryuji, who's actually a really tall guy, and Taiga Aisaka, who is known for being really short and has a temper. I'm sure you've seen her in a bunch of memes. She was kind of one of the flagship tsunderes, I guess you could say, and she's very violent, and she doesn't really get along with people. So it follows her journey to learning how to make friends and builds a relationship with Ryuji. And it's just a really good introduction series. If this is your first romance anime, I would recommend watching Toradora. It is very simple. It is one of the best introduction romance series. Very simple, very cute. Recommend. Next on my list, one that actually got a new season this season, and that is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Now, unlike the other series where it's, simple boy meets girl, romance happens, this one follows a bit of a different pattern. So there's this thing called adolescence syndrome that affects the people of adolescence, where certain scientific phenomena occur, affect their everyday life. Our main guy, Sakata, is out there and he's trying to solve all these problems that afflict these various girls because, he was afflicted with adolescent syndrome at one point as well. But now it's his goal to assist these girls that are having trouble with it. And a lot of people will say that this series created one of the best girls in all of anime, and that is Mai Sakurajima. So if you're looking to go down the rabbit hole, then I would recommend watching this one because peak waifu, and certainly just a great series overall. Tackles a lot of difficult topics. Definitely recommend this one. Now next up it's a bit of a romance. There is romantic aspects. I'm gonna take it as a romance, but it is Bakemonogatari. So Bakemonogatari, it's difficult to follow. There's a lot going on. The style is very artistic and abstract, but basically our main guy, Araragi, is basically trying to help these, it's very similar to Bunny Girl Senpai, but I feel like it's a bit more difficult to follow since given the style of the series. Our guy Araragi is trying to assist these girls who have been afflicted with kind of curses from these apparitions. He's basically there and he meets Senjo Gahara, who is afflicted with these curses, and you get to see the romance between them kind of build, and you also get to see some other difficult topics in this series, especially with Hanekawa. There's some difficult topics that are shown throughout the series. Definitely recommend this, even if you're trying to watch something not for romance factor. This one is still just a fantastic watch. Next up is another romance series that was one of my first, and that is Kaichou wa Maid-sama, or The Student Council President is a Maid. And this one follows our guy Takumi and our girl Misaki, who is the student council president, but she works as a maid. Crazy given the title of the series. Basically, this Takumi guy is the talk of the town. He's kind of the GOAT. He's one of my favorite characters in all of anime because of just how perfect he is. I kind of wish I could be like him, but that's never gonna happen. I'm sitting here talking about anime. He falls in love with Misaki and starts going to the maid cafe, but he has to keep it a secret. And as the series goes on, you get to see their relationship develops. A very great watch, very cute, not much drama. It's like Toradora. It's a great introduction to the romance genre. Next on the list is one that is heralded as one of the best romance that's ever come out, and that's because of the comedic factor and just the development of relationships in the series, and that is Kaguya-sama Love is War. It was a great watch, probably definitely one of the best romance anime I've ever seen, and that's just because of the comedy, the character interactions, and the relationship development. It follows Kaguya, obviously, who is the vice president of the student council, and our guy Miyuki, who is the student council president. and the top student in the school. So originally it starts out where Kaguya-sama just wants to beat him in grades, but that never really happens, and at some point it develops into a romance. And throughout the series, Kaguya and Miyuki are basically trying to outdo each other and get the other one to confess first. If you can picture that, creates a lot of hilarious scenarios and just a bunch of funny moments between all the different characters in the series, because there's more than just them two. Highly recommend this one. I'd say this is also a pretty good introduction. It's well animated and generally seen as one of the best romance anime that's ever come out. Finally, we reach number 10 on my recommendations list, and it's the new kid on the block. The fragrant flower blooms with dignity. So we've got our guy Rentaro, who looks like a delinquent. He's got blonde hair and piercings, but he's not a delinquent at all. If anything, he's probably one of the kindest souls that I've ever seen in fiction. And it follows him and Kaoruko, who is probably one of the most pure-hearted anime characters I've ever seen written, and that's why a lot of people love her and wish that she were real, but unfortunately she is just a drawing. But anyways, they both go to rivaling schools. One of them, Chidori Academy, is very much so disliked by the other academy that Kaoruko attends. The main theme of the story is it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet kind of story where they're trying to pretty much bridge the gap between these two schools, and it follows a lot of topics about friendship and just how you should never really judge a book by its cover. So it's just a very good series. The manga is still releasing, which it's a pretty good manga. I'd say it's a slow burner. It's very good, very cute, very fluffy. You know, pretty much everything you could want from a romance series. Now, I know that was a lot of information just really fast, but I hope that you enjoyed and you might have found something that you can put on your watch list if you haven't seen all these shows already. I hope you enjoyed, hope you found something that you might want to watch in the future. Peace.